Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, have some fun, but don't ever do, believe, or promote anything they say. They're idiots.
Guys, hold up. You should know, this ain't for everybody. Welcome to Savagely Loud. What's happening, people? Guys, welcome back to the show that understands that facts divided by feelings equals failure. I'm Cliff, I'm your host, and on today's journey, we are going to explore head to toe one of the most, if not the most volatile topic of discussion happening in our society today, and that is the reintroduction of segregation. Guys, before we get to that, though, because you better buckle up, like we're laughing now, but we ain't gonna be laughing shortly. If you want to help me get this truth out, you want to help me get this word out, you can help me out by following me on Instagram. Savagely Loud on Instagram is where I'm most active. And on that page, you'll find two links. One link is to the Savagely Loud podcast page on Instagram, which you can follow me there too. And the other link is to a link tree to all my media sites. So wherever you listen to your podcasts, wherever you get them, wherever you listen to whatever, you'll find it there. So go ahead and check out the link tree. Other than that, you can follow me on Facebook, X, and Rumble at Savagely Loud. You can follow me on YouTube at Savagely Loud Podcast. And I would ask that you please do, and don't forget to subscribe. Beyond that, you can email me in savagelyloud@gmail.com. I will get to your emails. Whatever you want to tell me, let me know. Last but not least, please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and share the material. Engage with it. That's what puts me in the algorithm. That's what helps us get this word out here. And don't forget, please, huge favor, guys, don't forget to rate the show. Give me a 5-star rating on Spotify, iTunes. Give a good review. Do that kind of stuff. I will appreciate it endlessly for the end of time, I promise you. That being said, let's dive into today's topic. Guys, I don't even know what to call today's topic other than the reintroduction of segregation. And I want to focus on the black community strictly because that's the only ones that are saying this. The only demographic of people that we really hear pushing right now in our modern society for the reintroduction of segregation is the exact people that pushed to get desegregation enacted in the 50s and 60s. And that is the black community. The black community is on the internet every single day, all day long. They're on the TV cameras, they're on the radio. They're talking all about how they want their own areas, black only areas, because that's the way to achieve success for the black community. The big kicker here, though, is what we're about to explore. And that is the fact that we've already done this. We've already had black only areas. We've already done this throughout the course of history and modern history at that. And we're going to explore the effects. We're going to explore how it was done, where it was done, why it was done. We're going to explore the effect on the surrounding communities. We're going to explore what happened when it all came crashing down, when it all went to shit. We're going to get into this because this is a fucking topic that needs to be discussed, I would say, almost to the point of ad nauseum. There's a lot of things that need to be talked about in modern society right now, and this is at the top of the fucking list. The reintroduction of segregation on behalf of the people that wanted desegregation enacted is a very, very large topic. Now, when we start this, we have to prepare to go down several rabbit holes. One of those rabbit holes is how the black community has become a puppet for the community of people that they hate the most, the wealthy, the ultra wealthy. Well, the black community has become a puppet for the ultra wealthy investors, and they don't even see it. So we'll eventually end up getting into how we can unfuck that scenario because, face it, guys, the same people that the black community say they're against, for the most part, the elite ultra wealthy, they're pretty much the same people that we're all against because they keep us all in a state of slavery. Modern day is censored tax slave. That's what we are, So let's start out in Chicago because my home state is Illinois and I've grown up my entire life right outside of Chicago. So I'm no stranger to the city. I'm no stranger to the suburbs. I'm no stranger to the effect of the people in Chicago that then migrate into the suburbs and that whole scenario. But when we talk about black only areas, it almost goes without saying that we have to look at Chicago, because Chicago was one of the biggest cities in the US for black only areas, black only housing projects. And we're going to get into some of those, which you know by name, because the crime got so high. Okay. So when we go back to the late 30s, okay, we're going to go all the way back to the late 1930s. Housing developments started being built in Chicago, and there are many that say, oh, well, they're being built for all the people that are coming back from World War II or the preparation for that war. They're being built for the German immigrants. No, it is openly documented that all of the housing, we'll say all, 99.9% of the fucking housing projects in Chicago were built for the black community. Well, in the late 1930s, we saw a housing project called the Ida B. Wells Housing Project. And Ida B. Wells Housing Project was a big housing project. And it also included other housing projects in it, like the Clarence Darrow homes and the Madden Park homes. This housing project started in 1939. 1939, was constructed between 1939 and 41. It's a project to house black families in the, quote, ghetto, in accordance with federal regulations requiring public housing projects to maintain the segregation of neighborhoods. Now, let's stop there, because we know what happened to the housing projects in Chicago, as we will get into. They became crime-ridden hellholes. Now, there are many, many people in the black community that will say this was a setup for failure right from the get-go. And I would staunchly disagree with you. I would say this was the number one fucking blessing that the black community could have had to show the world what it was really made of. You set us up to fail. You segregated us. You put us in the fucking south side of Chicago where there's nothing, there's no jobs, there's this and that and the other thing. This was the golden opportunity for the black community to show every other community and every other culture what they were made of. This was their opportunity to go in, get housing in a place that was basically barren of work, and create the work, create great places to live. This was their golden opportunity to turn that into Black Mecca. They could have turned the Ida B. Wells homes in Chicago into Black Mecca. They could have fucking turned it into a glimmering example of the capabilities of the black community, but they didn't. And this is and the reason I am addressing this is because this is a conversation that I've had over and over and over again. They set this up. The black community, when you argue with them about black only communities, you will quote housing projects, and you will quote things like the Ida B. Wells housing project. And you will also quote the fact that they had the golden opportunity to make it something great, and they absolutely destroyed the fuck out of it, okay? And this has happened time and again throughout the city of Chicago. Chicago is home to many housing projects. Okay, I've got a short list. Some of these you will know. Cabrini Green, synonymous worldwide with gang crime, black crime. Robert Taylor homes, again, synonymous worldwide with black crime. Ida B. Wells homes, which we were talking about, the Darrow homes and the Madden Park homes, which are included in the Ida B. Wells housing project. We've got Stateway Gardens. Stateway Gardens is a really interesting one because it's actually in the news now. It was torn down 20 years ago, but it's making the news today, okay? Maybe a little less than 20 years ago it was torn down, but it's in the news today because apparently the old residents of Stateway Gardens housing project in Chicago have annual reunions after they were forced out and the places were demolished because they destroyed them so bad with gang crime and violence. The old residents will still come together every year and they will have a Stateway Gardens reunion. Well, this reunion just happened not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. And what did we see happen? The Stateway Gardens residents, known for being some of the most criminalistic people in Chicago's history, came together for a reunion as if they liked each other when they lived near each other, and people got shot. Like, you can't write this kind of fucking shit. People got shot at a reunion at a celebration, at a fucking time and place where you guys came together to celebrate the fact that you all live together in solidarity, you motherfuckers shot each other. This is shit that has to be addressed. This is why I find Stateway Gardens so fucking interesting right now, because of just that. These people could not get along. They just could not find a way to get along when they lived in the same housing project. And it got so bad that the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois had to step in and tear it down just to get rid of the fucking crime. And these people are reuniting every single year as if they're fucking family. And they got shot. Like, if this was Saturday Night Live, this was an expected punchline, right? Well, to move on from Stateway Gardens, we've also got Rockwell Gardens. We've got Wentworth Gardens, Wentworth Gardens has not been fully torn down. It has been renovated, which we will get into shortly here, because that will play a pivotal role in a conversation that we're going to have in a minute. The Washington Park Homes is another one. All of these housing projects were black only, okay? You might get the straggler white guy or the straggler Mexican or the straggler Middle Easterner, but these were black areas. Every single last one of these housing projects housed thousands upon thousands of people. Black community, I would ask you, what do you think is going to happen if we open your own community right now in 2025? I would venture to say a lot of it, it's going to happen a lot like we see the housing projects in Chicago. They'll start out okay, and they will quickly take a turn for the worse. And then within a couple of years, there'll be a place that nobody that doesn't live there can or will go. I would venture to say that that's exactly what happens, because that is exactly what has happened to every single housing project in Chicago. Not only in Chicago, in every single major city in the United States, that there is a housing project. It has been taken over by black people, and it is so fucking violent and so crime-ridden that people that don't live there can't and won't go there. Won't happen. In fact, a lot of these places, the cops won't even go to, because they're so dangerous. So what exactly do you plan as the black community to do to stop this kind of behavior from happening? Because the city of Chicago and many, many investors and the state of Illinois have put a lot of money into giving you your own areas time and again, time and again, time and again. And yet, time and again, you fuck it up. You just ruin it. You ruin the ever-loving fuck out of it. You talk about black excellence and you talk about how you love your people so much, but everywhere your people are the dominant majority of demographic, nobody can go. Nobody wants to go. You don't even want to go. Black people don't even want to go. So I'm not quite sure where the end goal is going to lie and what courses of actions you're prepared to take to stop this shit from happening. But when we look at places like the Cabrini Green housing development, that was not, I repeat, not in a shithole area. The Cabrini Green housing development was on the near north side. The Cabrini Green housing development was built right down the street from rich neighborhoods. So now we've removed the ability to say, well, you set us up for failure as a black community. Of course, we've removed the ability for the black community to say, you set us up for failure. No, we built you high-rise buildings in rich neighborhoods, right on the edge of rich neighborhoods. It was up to you to make it or break it, and you broke it. And you just still to this day will not take the accountability. You will not take the responsibility for having done so. And that's the biggest problem with your community. The fact that you guys will run away from reality instead of embrace it means you're doomed to live the worst parts of your history over and over and over again as an entire culture of people until humans cease to exist. That is what this means, guys. Now, I understand you're going to say, oh, you're fucking racist, you bigot motherfucker. You're just all about the black community. No, I'm focusing on the black community in this episode particularly because you keep telling me, your community keeps telling me and every other community on earth, not just white people, but every other community on earth that you want, need, deserve to have your own communities. But we've done this before. So why would anybody expect it to end any different? We've got other places, the Robert Taylor homes. Again, notoriously bad crime, notoriously violent. You can't go anywhere around the motherfucker. And then we've got what? We've got the Harold L. Ikes home. Here's an interesting story about the Harold L. Ikes homes, okay? This is a personal story of mine, okay? So let's rewind to 05-ish area, okay? Now, I was looking to get out of the shop. I just needed a fucking job. I was looking to do something different. So I took this gig as a fragrance consultant, we called ourselves, but I was a bootleg perfume salesman. And this all happened, it was a pyramid scheme. It was that multi-level marketing bullshit, which I understand works for a lot of people. It works very well. It's not always a scam. Don't get on me about that. Let's keep moving on, okay? But this multi-level marketing thing, this pyramid scam, fucking took place out of a place called Schaumburg, which is outside of Chicago a little bit. And we would launch out of there, and then we would go to places all over the place, and we would walk around, whether it would be a mall or a business district or wherever. It was always business to business, but we would try to sell our perfume. We would try to hawk this bullshit. We had to turn in $19 a bottle, but if we sold a bottle for $40, we kept the extra. Well, it was a bullshit gig, as you've already drawn the conclusion of. It was a bullshit gig, and but you know what? It introduced me to a different world, a different industry, and a different subsect of people. Now, I have trust issues. I don't like riding with other people. I don't like not being in my own car when I go places. I don't like not being able to leave. I've been in situations where I've been stranded by other people because they got a wild hair up their ass and took off, whatever. I just have trust issues. Well, this one time, and it was only one time doing this perfume gig, I decided, you know what? I'll ride with dude. I'll ride with this guy, whatever. Because Archie is the guy that was running the show. He was a black dude. He was cool, dude. He was cool enough, I should say. But he wore a suit and drove a Lexus and, told everybody, you can have this shit too. And his Lexus was like a GS 350. It was a pile of shit. And when it was clean and it was newer at that time, but it's still a pile of shit. Lexus didn't come around until the late 2010s, if you ask me. But Archie was making a big stink of this about how, he wanted me to go with this dude and his friend and explore a new neighborhood that I'm not used to going to. All right, fine. I'll ride with this dude. This dude was a late 40s, early 50s ghetto motherfucker. Like, there's no other way to describe him. He talked like shit, acted like shit, walked like shit, looked like shit. His whole attitude was shit. It's like you just pulled him out of a fucking sewer in the middle of Chicago. But, I was trying to be a team player. So I decided to just go along with things. Well, he has his friend who was a female, she was doing this bullshit too. So we walk out and we get in his car. He obviously gets in the driver's side. His friend gets in the passenger side, and I get in the driver's side back seat. This car had borrowed multiple lives from cats in the neighborhood just to keep running. It was the world's biggest pile of shit Oldsmobile Alero. And if you know anything about Aleros, you know they were piles of shit right out of the factory. And this one had every single bad luck motherfucking thing on earth thrown at it. It was not doing well. So I got in the car, despite this now being concerned that this car is either going to explode, come apart on the fucking highway and kill us all, or just plain out not get us where we need to go. But I get into the car and we start heading out, and I start noticing that we're not heading in the direction that we were really supposed to be heading, or that I had thought we were supposed to be heading. I was like, hey dude, so where are we? Now, mind you, this dude looks like shit. His partner looks like shit. I, however, am dressed to the fucking nines. This was a bullshit gig, but everything I do, I take very, very seriously. So I was in a $500 suit. Now I know that's not a super expensive suit, but when you're hawking bootleg fucking perfume at like 24 or 28 years old or whatever, that's a nice suit, okay? And I pulled it off well. But I said, hey, dude, like, where are we heading to? Because this doesn't seem like the place we need to be going to. And this was yet another instance of an interaction with a black person that had gone south very quickly. He's like, we just got to make a stop first. I was like, all right, cool. You know, I'm okay with that. Like, where are we stopping at? Thinking we're going to hit a gas station or a restaurant or something to get some food, something like that. He's like, don't fucking worry about it. He's looking at me in the mirror. He's like, don't fucking worry about it. We're just got to make a fucking stop. He talked to me that way, not understanding that I am, or at least was, indeed, the type of person that would slit his fucking piece of shit throat from the back seat. I didn't, because I figured, why go to prison? We'll ride this out and see where it goes. Well, we're riding and riding and riding. Next thing you know, we get off the highway. And we weren't far off the highway. I remember a couple of streets in off the fucking highway or main road, whatever. And next thing you know, we pull up in front of this building. This building is a rundown shithole. There are more broken windows in this building than there are full windows. And I'm looking at it and you know where you're at. You know, you're in the fucking ghetto. You're in the hood. You're in like the hood, the real hood. So I remember just sitting here like, all right, fuck, man. Like, what are we doing here? Pick up your fucking rocks. Make it fast. Let's get the fuck out of here as fast as humanly possible. We pull up in front of this building and I look over and I see a very, very, very dingy, filthy shithole, unkempt building. It was like beige color at one point, but it just had decades of I don't give a fuck thrown all over it. And I remember this fucking red door with these with these handrails outside. And when we pulled up in front of this building, we pulled up, the building is situated, you know, like lengthwise. We pulled up parallel to it, okay? And I look over and there's a handful, probably 4 or 5 black dudes that don't look like anybody I need to be fucking with at all, sitting outside that red door. I'm nervous. I'm shitting my pants now because also I was a skinhead. I understand the community of people I'm fucking dealing with. I know their behavior inside and out. I just don't know how volatile they'll be today. I don't know how volatile they'll be right now, considering who I came in here with. Well, we pulled up, and he goes, "I'll be right back." And the driver, the friend goes, "I'm going with you." So they hop out of the fucking car and head into the building. They did a bunch of fucking high fives and hands offs and shit as they walked through the bangers at the door, the lookouts at the door. They went through the red door, and then I sat. And I sat. More and more people are starting to come out of this building because now I'm not looking up, like I'm not like blatantly looking around because I understand that that's not what you want to look like you're doing. You don't want to look like you're snooping. You don't want to look like you're taking pictures of anything. You don't want to look like you're real inquisitive about what's happening in this area. So I've kind of just got my head down and I'm looking like side-eyeing, you know, just like making sure I can see where all the fucking people are. I'm going to die. I understand this. I know I'm going to die if anything fucking happens. I don't have my guns. And even if I did, if I popped off one round, they're just going to air condition the whole fucking car with 100 rounds and I'll be dead anyway. So no matter what happens, I understand that I'm going to fucking die. Well, as I'm looking around, I'm seeing more and more people come out of this fucking building, right? I'm starting to get really, really fucking panicked now. Right then and there. Now, before we go further, you should know, this dude that I was riding with had one of those cop buttons where you can keep the car running but take your key with you. When he pushed that button and then took his key with him, I should have realized we were probably going to be a minute, you know? We were probably going to be here a minute. But I didn't. So the car's running. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in the back seat and I get a knock on the fucking window. And it was not a gentle knock. It was a very, very assertive, authoritative knock. I looked up. I saw another fucking black dude that there was no fucking part of that I wanted to fuck with. So I just realized, hey, you know, like I just went with the reality. I'm in your house. It is on me. The onus is on me to respect the ever-loving fuck out of you to try to make it out of this bitch alive because you just don't give a fuck. You will shoot me right here and drag my body to the ditch that is 50 yards that way and fucking leave me to rot. I know you people. Well, I rolled down the window and I said, hey man, what's going on? And he goes, he looks me dead in the eye. He goes, you don't fucking belong here. Fuck you doing here? I was like, dude, I don't want to be here any more than you want me to be here. We're doing a job. We're selling fucking perfume. And he said he had to make a fucking quick stop. And I've been here for 20 fucking minutes now. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And I was like, all I know is he went into that building and he hasn't come out yet. And he goes, he ain't in that fucking building. Just looked at me right like that. And he's like, he ain't in that fucking building. And I'm like, oh, fuck, they took him out. They fucking killed him. I can't drive this motherfucker because that's not how that fucking switch works. Like, I'm so gonna fucking die. I'm just gonna fucking die right the fuck here in the goddamn biggest shithole I could imagine around in Chicago. I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna be a statistic here if I even ever get fucking remembered. So I was super nice. Like I said, the onus is on me to eat crow to keep myself fucking safe. So I was like, dude, I promise you, the moment I can leave this place, I will be gone. The absolute very moment I can leave this place, I promise you, I will be gone. I don't mean to intrude upon nothing. I don't mean to be looking around. I'm not inquisitive on your shit. I don't give a fuck what you guys do around here. I don't give a fuck how you live. I don't give a fuck about nothing but getting the fuck back to the area I belong in. And right then, you could tell he respected me because I know the game. You don't, as long as I know you don't give a fuck about what's happening around here and you ain't looking at nothing, you keep your fucking head down, white boy, you'll be all right. Well, he respected me for saying that. You know, I was shitting my fucking pants. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was shitting my fucking pants because the whole time I'm talking to him now, I'm watching more and more and more and more people funnel out of the building. I'm watching more and more and more eyeballs fill windows or broken windows or windows that used to be there or doorways that have no doors anymore. Like, I'm watching this happen. Now I'm at a point where I'm looking at 20 to 30 people outside that fucking red door staring at this car. I'm the only car in the parking lot. I can tell you the 100% fact. I was the only car in the fucking parking lot. There was no mistaking what was going on here. Well, another couple minutes went by, and this fucking dude that I was with, he came out with his fucking pal. He stopped in front of the door to do the handshake, handoff, bullshit, whatever. And then he gets to the car. I'm like, finally, we're getting the fuck out of here. He gets the door halfway open, and then he starts shooting the shit with another one of his buddies. And I'm telling his friend, I was like, dude, I was like, yeah, I don't know how to fucking bring this up, but I was just basically told they were going to fucking kill me if we don't get the fuck out of here. So we need to get the fuck out of here. And she looks at me, she's a black woman, and she goes, just sit the fuck down and wait. What part of this interaction am I supposed to say, black people are awesome? What part of this interaction where I'm about to die and they don't give a fuck? And in fact, not only do they not give a fuck, it almost seems like they're trying to fucking hold me here so that it happens. What part of this makes me like you motherfuckers? You know? So I didn't like those two motherfuckers. And I made it very well known because when they got back in the car and we headed back, we headed out, we ended up in the south side of Chicago, again, where white people in fucking suits don't belong. I'm fucking trying to sell bootleg perfume to fucking car salesmen that I can't understand, and they don't want anything to do with talking to me. Why the fuck are we here? Well, when we got back to the fucking place, I told Archie all about it. I was like, I'm done here. Fuck you, fuck them, fuck her, fuck all of you people. I'm fucking done. I almost fucking died today hawking your bullshit perfume because you forced me to be in a fucking car with that piece of shit. And he fucking almost got me killed. Never went back to the fucking gig. But I also never knew where the fuck I was. I never knew what project I had pulled up in front of with this dude and had one of the most horrifying experiences of my life until this episode. In my research for this episode, I'm looking up all these housing developments, housing projects. I'm looking up the histories. I'm looking up photos. I'm looking up this kind of shit. And what do I stumble upon? I go into Wikipedia, and as I will always say, Wikipedia may not be the best place for research, but it's a housing development without a lot of narrative being pushed, so it'll be okay for this purpose. I go into Wikipedia, and I just so happen to type in the Howard L. Ikes homes. And what comes up? A photograph on Wikipedia comes up of the building that I was standing in front of, or well, sitting in a car in front of. It didn't look like that. This looks like it had gotten washed at some point. I had been to it when it was a little bit worse than that. And it was more towards the like the late fall, beginning of winter, rather than what that photo looks like, the end of, spring. But if you look at this picture, it's really interesting. I can tell you exactly where the fuck I was. So if you look at the picture on Wikipedia of the Harold L. Ikes homes, you're going to see a beige colored dingy fucking building with a red door on it with the fucking hand railings outside of it and a couple of stairs. You'll see in the foreground 2 trees, one on the right, one on the left. You will see on the left side of the tree on the left a basketball hoop. I was essentially pulled up right in that alley right there, parallel to the building. Essentially, if you were looking, if I was in this picture in the car would be between the tree on the left and the basketball hoop. That's where I was. So you'll be able to see, if you take a second to look this up, you'll be able to see how close a proximity I was to everybody that was outside that door that had AKs and had hands in pockets and had bats and had all sorts of shit just stacked up against the building. And you know why they had it stacked up against the building? It's because cops don't fucking go there. So I was in one of the most war-torn fucking spots in Chicago as a bald white boy in a fucking suit in the backseat of a fucking car I couldn't use to get away. And 2 black people purposely put me in that fucking position. And I've had multiple fucking situations like this because the black community just doesn't seem to care about anybody but itself. Well, that being said, why is it that I look at all these housing projects and I see so much pain. I see so much suffering. I see so much torment. I see so much violence. I see so much death. I see so much poverty. I see so much hate when they're all black areas. Every one of these housing projects that has since been torn down, with the exception of a couple that were partially torn down and basically completely remodeled. Why am I seeing the black community acting like this in black-only towns? Does that not tell us everything we need to know about the reintroduction of segregation? Does the housing projects in Chicago alone and the history of the black community therein tell us everything we need to know about what would happen in a modern-day black community? We have still housing projects across this great nation that are black only. And what do we fucking see? We've got Yo Block in fucking DC, which is one of the most dangerous places on earth. We've got O Block in Chicago, which is one of the most dangerous places on earth. They're all black. So what is it? Black community, I'm talking to you. What is it about the history of your culture, your people, and your integration with each other, or your lack thereof, that tells any other culture of people, let alone white people, that everything would be okay in a black-only community? There's nothing there, no historical data, no historical evidence or criteria that would lend itself to making people believe that black-only areas, sanctioned black-only areas, are a good idea. They just don't seem to be. Now, the shitty of Chicago, which is 100% true, the shitty of Chicago and the state of Illinois felt the exact same way, which is why most of the housing projects that were the worst crime places were torn down. They tore them down and either left them leveled, left them nothing, or they tore them down in favor of rebuilding what they call a mixed income community. Mixed income community is a very, very, very nice, cordial term for gentrifying the area, meaning we're going to move a bunch of rich white people in here to make this shithole nicer because you motherfuckers couldn't do it. We gave you 50 fucking years of these housing developments and you did nothing but fuck them up from front to back, top to bottom, from day one to the very last brick got removed. Now we're going to move a bunch of fucking wealthier white people in and try to make the area fucking nicer. We gave you your shot. Go fuck yourself. Now, this is also part of the rabbit hole I was talking about earlier about black people, the black community in its entirety, becoming puppets and being used to make the people they hate most, the ultra wealthy white people, billionaires. So how does this happen? Well, the first thing you have to understand about billionaires is they possess an ability that most people do not possess. And that ability is the ability to remove themselves from society, remove their biases from their visibility, from their vision, and elevate themselves and look at society from a 30,000-foot view. When you can remove yourself, your prejudices, your biases, and your likes and dislikes from your vision, you can look at society, and it's very, 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 very blatantly obvious how certain demographics of people work. Certain white demographic does this. The brown demographic from South America and Central America does this. The black demographic does this. The Middle Eastern demographic does this. That's how they operate. Well, billionaires can do that. They can elevate themselves, look at a 30,000-foot view, and figure out which demographic of people they can make the most money on. And it just so happens that the black community is the one that they can make the most money on. And I'm not even talking about all the rap and all that shit, getting you to spend every fucking red cent you make fucking slinging chicken at Popeyes to buy the fucking bling watch or the bling for your ears or whatever, the fucking rims for your 12-year-old Chrysler 300 with 225,000 miles on it. I'm not even talking about none of that shit. That's all viable. It's all valid, but I'm not talking about it. What I'm talking about is this. The ultra wealthy investors can look at the demographics of people and say, hey, if we go over to the city of Chicago and we write a proposal for a housing project for black only people, or diverse cultures, diverse communities is what they call them, minority communities, diverse communities. If we go to the city of Chicago and we give them a proposal to build a housing project for blacks, they will make sure that happens. They will make sure it happens because the fucking congressman or the alderman or the chairman of whatever's or the mayor or whoever the fucking councilman, they will take that proposal and use it for their benefit. They'll compound it. So they'll take that proposal and they'll bring it to the masses. They'll bring it to the black community and say, look at this magical, miraculous, marvelous shit that I am doing for your community. I have in my hand the proposal for a community exercise or a community building facility that will, house X amount of people, and it will allow the black community, the African American community, to set up its roots and be its own community, blah, 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 blah. And when that guy says that, or that woman says that, the whole black community goes, yeah, blacks only, yeah, blacks only. It's about fucking time. Well, that alderman, that councilman, whoever it might be, the mayor, they'll go back and then they'll talk to the investors, and then the investors are they're going to say, the black community loves it. The African American community, they love the idea. Let's move forward. What do you need? And then the investors then will say, well, we're going to need tax incentives, very, very large tax incentives. We're going to need contract obligation because it's going to be Section 8. So the government is going to have to then pay us for the Section 8 housing, which they get so many fucking kickbacks. You don't even understand. I know 4 people that own Section 8 housing developments, and they will only ever own Section 8 housing developments because they say it is the most lucrative if you know how to play the loopholes. But they're going to tell them, we need tax incentives, large tax incentives. We are going to need large grants from the city and the state because we're doing this to benefit the African American community. So because we're doing this to only benefit one community, we're going to need some donations because other investors don't naturally want to get on board with the segregation thing. So the city and the state will come together and they will give these investors massive amounts of fucking tax credits, massive amount of tax incentives, massive amounts of fucking discounts in properties, massive bonds and grants. They make so much money by building these fucking housing projects. You would be insane to not want to. But then it gets better. They market it for the black community because they know, historically shown evidence, we have it, the proof. They know the black community will fuck that place up. What does that mean for them? That means they don't have to maintain the building. That means they don't have to hire crews once a year for $10,000 or $20,000 to go wash the exterior of the building. That means they don't have to have live-in maintenance crews that fucking do nothing but monitor the working of this building. When a light bulb goes out, they come out of their apartment, go upstairs, and they change the light. They don't have to do any of that because the black community doesn't want them there. The black community doesn't want anybody in the black community but black people. And they fuck up everything they touch. So now the people, the investors that built the building are winning. They're winning so hard. They've got a bunch of fucking grants and favors and fucking winks and fucking nods and smiles from aldermen and councilmen and all these fucking politicians in the city and the state for doing this Section 8 bullshit. They've got money in their pocket from the grants and the bonds. Now they've got a bunch of money in their pocket because they don't even have to maintain the fucking things because the people that live there don't want them maintained, or they don't want the maintenance people there to maintain them. Then after a while, they'll have a couple of arguments. Of course they'll have a couple of There's bound to be one or two people that want their fucking light bulb changed or their sink to be fixed. But eventually it becomes so dangerous that they can say, we can't maintain the building. We can't send maintenance crews into the building because it's too dangerous. And they are right. You just can't at a certain point because the place is overrun. It's not your property anymore. It is the property of every fucking shitbag, lowlife fucking pile of crap asshole that has taken that fucking place over as a residence. It's their house now. So now the fucking investor of the property, they're paying very little tax on the building. They're getting rents from everything from the government. It's a little bit lower than they might have been able to make, but it's guaranteed. They're getting tax incentives up the ass. They're making all this money, not having to maintain the building. And it's all based on the fucking black community being stereotypical black community fucking members. The black community, the investors know that the black community will fuck themselves so hard that the investor themselves will get nothing but richer. And the black community just keeps hanging on, just keeps biting. Yeah, build us another fucking housing project. We'll fuck that up and make another white guy a billionaire. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Now, it gets even better. It gets even better. Now let's say we've come to the point in the timeline of the housing development, the housing project, that it's so dangerous. It's so overrun with crime and violence that now the city and the state have taken notice. The state comes up to the city and the city comes up to the investor and goes, yeah, guys, it's a fucking hellhole. It's worse than Baghdad over there. The cops can't go over there. People can't live safely there. It's got to come down. And the investor says, what? Well, what are you prepared to offer me to demolish the building? This is a huge endeavor for us, and we can't foot the bill for that. So if you want this to happen, you're going to have to make some concessions, make some offers. And then again, on top of all the other shit, the city and the state start making big fucking offers to get that shithole place to be torn down. What happens then? Well, what happens then is the thing that seemingly everybody hates to talk about the most. They think it's the worst thing on earth, and that is gentrification. That is moving in wealthier people, i.e. white people, into shitty areas to up the property value because they know as soon as white people come into that area, we're going to clean it up. We're going to take it upon ourselves to go sweep the streets ourselves if the city won't do it. We'll take it upon ourselves to plant flowers along the edges of the road if the fucking city won't do it. We will take it upon ourselves to make this place somewhere we want to live, and we can tell our friends and family we are proud to live. So that, and in turn, that ups the property value, which ups rental prices. And it forces all the people that don't want to be a successful, productive member of that community out. And that is where the fucking problem lies. Is now you've got this whole community of people that feels like they were pushed out of their home. And really all it was is they didn't get pushed out of their home. They refused to evolve with their home. Homes will evolve, especially when you're talking about inner city high rises. Those buildings, those communities, those miniature societies within the greater society evolve on a daily basis. And the people that get pushed out due to quote unquote gentrification are the people that simply refuse to get their act together and evolve with it. These people have it in them to go get a better fucking job. They have it in them to go to fucking school, get a degree in something, get a skill in something, go to a vocational school, anything. The state will subsidize your fucking attendance because you're black and you're from a shithole area. You can practically go to school for nothing, and you guys refuse to do it. So this isn't, gentrification isn't white people pushing black people out of their houses. No, it's white people coming into shitty areas and saying, this could be a pretty nice fucking area. Let's get to work. And then we get to work, and then the black people leave because they say they can't live around that and they can't afford it and this and that, when all that would taken was, why don't you come out of your fucking shithole apartment and plant flowers with me? Right along the side of the road. Why don't you come out of your shithole apartment, grab a fucking broom, and let's sweep the parking lot? I know it's big, but nobody else is doing it. And if we want to live in a nice place, sometimes we're going to have to do shit ourselves. Sometimes we're going to have to roll up our fucking sleeves and address the issues with fucking manual labor on our own behalf. So let's get started. But they refuse every single fucking time. Now, what happens now? After the gentrification happens, right? Because this is what has happened in Chicago. All of these people, all of these places, Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Homes, Ida B. Wells Homes, including the Darrow Homes and the Madden Park Homes, Harold Ike's Homes, the Stateway Gardens, Rockwell Gardens, Wentworth Gardens, Washington Park Homes, and the list goes on. All of these places, most of which have been completely torn down and built into something better for what they call mixed income communities, or they have been completely fucking renovated into mixed income communities. So the city and the state understood that the black people fucked everything up, so we need to make these a little bit nicer so white people come in and up the property values again, because some of these places are in what can be very, 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 very sought after property zones. So that's what they do. So if the city and the state and the investors all understand that the black community will act like the black community always has, like shit, let's just call it what it is. If you want to fix your community, black people, you're going to have to start embracing the reality of it, okay? We see you starting to on the internet, but it's going to take a lot more of you, and it's going to have to happen a lot faster. But so the city, the state, the fucking investors, they all know the black community operates that way. So what do the investors do? This is yet another fucking rung in the ladder of black people making billionaires out of white people that they hate. Once the gentrification happens, the investors will go on an advertising campaign, advertising properties in the suburbs, okay? One place that comes to mind is Cedar Villas in Round Lake. When I don't remember if it was a Cabrini Green or if it was a Robert Taylor Homes when they got torn down. You saw ads everywhere for come visit beautiful Round Lake and Cedar Villas, this and that. So, and what happens is either the investors that own the housing projects own the other projects in the suburbs, or their buddies own the projects in the or the apartment complexes in the suburbs, and they get kickbacks for referrals. So now they start funneling all the people that were too evil and too shitty to each other to get along in the world's worst fucking area. They start funneling them into nicer areas. And the state loves this. Not so much the city, but the state. The state loves this. The city doesn't want to lose the income, but the state still has the income, and it also gets to fuck up other areas. And the state is all about that. And by the state, I may mean, in some instances, I mean the actual state, and in some instances, I mean the federal government. They love this because it fucks up the areas that they want fucked up, because so they can come in later and take full control of it. It's a lot of the same principle we see of this open border policy, where they're just funneling in millions of migrants into all these nice areas and turning them to absolute shit and intentionally creating war zones amongst people in areas that were otherwise not war zones. So now you have this criminal element, this giant wave of criminality just flooding the suburbs, while the cities start gentrifying the areas that those people left. What are we doing here? I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? Why can't anybody see that this is all part of the fucking plan? Why can't the black community that barks up my tree every single fucking day understand that they are the product? They're the product. The people that hate the billionaires the most are the product that the billionaires make all their money on. Whether it's crime or violence or poverty or destitution, desperation, or if it's just bling and spending too much money on shitty fucking cars with too big of wheels on them. Why can't you guys understand, black community, that you're the product? It would be very, very easy for you to step out of this cycle if you could all just band together like you say you do and stop being shitheads. Stop being demographically the worst people on the planet, okay? Statistically, you are the worst people on the fucking planet. Well, yep, worst people on the planet, everywhere you go. I mean, it's just fact. Why can't you stop? Why can't you see that you're making white people billionaires? The white people that I fucking hate. The white people that you fucking hate. You're benefiting them greatly, as where I'm trying to step out of their system, you're playing right into it and still telling me that I share the same virtue and privilege that that person does. When you're the one feeding them their virtue and their fucking privilege. I mean, we got to get real about this shit. Black and white could be the greatest fucking allies we had ever fucking seen of anybody, of any other creed of people. Black and white could be the greatest fucking allies, but it's never going to happen as long as we have attitudes like this. As long as we have continuation of terrible behavior like this. As long as we have this rhetoric going on about how black people don't want anything to do with white people and they want their own towns, their own cities, their own places to call their own. When we've done this before, and it has always, 100% of the time, gone poorly. We can't get along. We can't be allies as long as we're calling for the separation of one another. Now, full transparency, I fully believe in segregation. I believe that people in general are not meant to get along. We're tribal. Every time you fucking talk to anybody, fucking find the most world's renowned psychiatrists. Find the world's most renowned speakers. Go Jordan Peterson. He'll tell you people are tribal. Well, if we're tribal, then why the fuck do we keep getting shoved in together when we're not supposed to get along? It's to create the problems. And the problems are created largely due to the black community. That's just the facts of it. When you look at the statistics, you will find that the black community is responsible for almost 70% of our violent crime, 51% of our murders, and it only constitutes 14% of our population. But here's the kicker. Of that 14% of the population, it's not every single black person that's creating the crime, right? I know that. You know that. We acknowledge this on a daily basis. So who is the part of the black demographic, the 14% that's creating the crime? Well, of that 14%, 6.5% are male. Of that male percentage, 6.5%, it's estimated that 2 to 4% of them are creating all of the problems that we see. 2 to 4% of the black community, i.e. mostly black males, are creating 70% of the violent crime in this country. So if we look at it's strictly just the numbers, this is not an overwhelming task. This isn't an overwhelming endeavor. This isn't an impossible or an undoable fucking responsibility to unfuck the community. You're fighting 2 to 4% of your own community, and you've got all of every other community with you. All of the white community is 100% on board with fighting black crime and stopping black crime. 100% of every other fucking community is on board with fighting black crime and stopping black crime, because it's black crime that devastates every one of our lives, every one of our areas. When it becomes unsafe, it is assuredly becoming unsafe or has become unsafe because of a black demographic. It's statistical fact. You can't argue it. You can fuck with it with feelings, but if you start mixing in your feelings, nothing will ever get fixed. The black community will be destined to live out a life of desperation until it is wiped off the map, and every other community that has to deal with that community is going to be destined to live the same basic life until we separate ourselves completely from that demographic of people. Do we want that? You know, it's you guys that are telling me that you want all this unity. You want all this stand together, fight together. But you're not willing to take any steps or actions to make it happen. When was the last time you saw a parade of black people marching for white rights? When was the last time you saw a fucking parade of black people fighting for white people's ability to say what the fuck they want to say? Just like every other community of people on earth does. In this country, anyway. When was the last? You never saw it. You never saw it. It's not going to happen. It's never happened. And that's another reason we're just never going to be fucking pals. We're just never going to be each other's allies, because the black community expects out of the white community for us to do whatever the fuck we have to do to appease the black community. But the black community is 100% unwilling to stand up against the biggest problems in this nation affecting the white community, and that is in and of itself the black community, the gang community, the culture of violence, the communities that are fucking so crime-ridden that nobody dares go in or around them. The black community is refusing to stand up against its own people, let alone anybody else. So where does the unity come from? Because white people are done. I don't know if you've noticed this, but white people are done taking in the ass. White people are done smiling and nodding while all of our fucking livelihoods get fucked with on a daily basis. Because I will have you fucking understand something, regardless of what you may think of me, for me, about me, despite all of the opinions and assumptions that you have of me, I am 100% all for unifying every single fucking demographic of people in this country coming together to fight one common fucking enemy, and that's the fucking government. That's the fucking central bank. That's the fucking the focus of what we should be fighting. But instead, we're busy fighting each other. So what's going to happen now? Can we unite or can we not unite? Because we've been trying for an awful long time to unite, and it seems like the relations between the races are just worse than fucking ever. So what do we do now? Do we go the segregation route? Do we just fucking divide ourselves like children that can't get along? Maybe that is the answer. Maybe it is. Maybe the answer is for every single demographic of people out here to get their own fucking places. Maybe the fucking plan should be that everybody goes to their own fucking corners of their own fucking places and they build that environment. We reconvene in 10 years to see who's doing the best. And then we start following their rules. Or if it's working completely well for everybody, just keep going this way. And then just come together as small fucking demographics of people within the major country when we need to. When the government decides it's going to start raining down bullets on all of its people, we come together. Your tribe, my tribe, their tribe, his tribe, her tribe. We all come together at that point. I don't know. Maybe that's the fucking plan that we should go with. But whatever we've been doing so far is not working at fucking all. And I think everybody can fucking agree with that. I think what we're seeing now every single day on the internet proves everything I'm saying. It proves everything I'm saying. It proves we can't get along. It proves that nobody wants to get along. It proves not only do people not want to get along, it seems like people want to be enemies. Guys, as a fucking person who has lived a life in a past life of mine, as somebody that had nothing but fucking enemies and created them all because I wanted them. not because I stood for something and people didn't like it. No, I just created enemies. As somebody that's done that, let me tell you, that life sucks. That life fucking sucks ass. You don't want that life. So figure out a way. What we need to do is we need to figure out a way that we can all come together and figure out what the plan is. Are we going to unite? Are we going to unify? Are we not? If we're not, then what's the plan? Instead of being forced to be packed in with everybody that we don't apparently like, allegedly don't like, and watching murder after murder after murder after murder after beating after beating after beating after mugging, we formulate a plan to just leave each other the fuck alone. You go to your corner, I go to my corner, and so long as neither one of us come across that fucking line, there are zero fucking problems. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that seems to be what we do with children. And it seems like everybody in the world right now is a fucking giant adult baby. So maybe that's the plan we should fucking go with. Let me know what you think. But guys, as always, every episode, we get into the sticky wicked shit. We get down in the dirties, and we feel kind of fucking shitty, and we get all ramped up and whatnot, and we don't want to walk away from the episode like that. So it is time for a little segment I like to call Hopelessly Human, and it starts a little bit like...
People can be really rough. They can be quite tough. They can get in the way, but at the end of the day, some aren't only stupid, some are hopelessly human.
Yes, some are not only stupid. Guys, I got a short one for you with a big impact, and I do want to break it down just a little bit afterwards. So, I've got a Good Samaritan on a bicycle. I had just moved to a new country with my husband and a 6-month-old baby. I had nothing to do and knew no one, so I went for a walk with the baby in the stroller and was about 3 miles from our apartment when the stroller tire got a puncture and went flat. I knew my son was going to start crying if we took too long, and I was getting anxious about embarrassing myself in a foreign country, when just then a very nice man was riding his bike and hopped off and said he had a tire repair kit, and he patched up my tire, inflated it, and even topped off the air in the rest of the tires. It only took him about 5 minutes, and then he just hopped back on his bike and left. But it saved me so much time and stress that I am still so grateful to this day. That was written by Lovelette to BuzzFeed.com. The reason I just want to break this down very, very shortly, this is all it takes, guys. This is all it fucking takes. Is just tiny acts of service for your fellow man. That 5 minutes that dude spent changed that woman's life. And that's a fucking fact, and that's the fucking show.